Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to Sports History. We're starting our third week, and so we're going to shift gears and start talking about the game of basketball. All right, so what do we know, right? What do we know about this game of basketball? Well, the first thing is it's the true American game. Why is that? Why is it considered? Why does your book entitled the chapter on basketball the true American game? Well, because it was a game that was invented here. All right, it was invented here on American soil. It wasn't a morph between English sports like football was, between rugby, soccer became American football, and cricket and rounders became American baseball. This game was created here, right? Originated here. Right at the beginnings, a gentleman by the name of James Naismith, Dr. James Naismith, invented the game of basketball, allegedly. And he did so on December 21st, 1881, in Springfield, Massachusetts, actually on Springfield College's campus. And he did this because he needed a way to keep the athletes fit during the winter months. It's cold in Springfield, Mass, during the winter. So, football was in the fall, baseball was in the spring. So he had to invent something that would keep the athletes active during the cold winter months of Springfield, Massachusetts, right? Keep young men in condition during the winter months, all the while watching Harvard cheat, even at this game. So the first game was to say the day it was invented, December 21st, 1881, on Springfield College's campus in Jude Hall. So originally, the game of basketball was 9-on-9. All right, not today, it's 5-on-5. Originally, it was 9-on-9. Again, that's a lot of people on the court at one time. We have 18 people on the court. Similar to football, right? Football started off with 25 versus 25. Whittled it down to what we have today, 11 versus 11. Basketball started 9 versus 9, whittled down to what we have today, 5 versus 5. That changed to 5 versus 5, what we have today, approximately 16 years later in 1897. When the game was invented, they used a soccer ball and a peach basket. All right, so basically it was just taking the soccer ball and throwing it into the peach basket. The peach basket hung 10 feet above the floor. So I wanted to think about that, right? If you're going to invent a game, you kind of look around and see what you have available. So there was soccer balls around because, kids played soccer. Peach baskets, why would there be peach baskets around though? Well, just outside of Springfield College campus was a peach grove. So there were peach baskets all over the place. So he just grabbed one. But then why 10 feet above the floor? Why did they hang it at 10 feet? That's an interesting question. I mean, you could have hung it at 8, 12, 11, 5, whatever it is. But why 10 feet? And we'll get there in a second. The next question is, why is it called basketball? Well, Naismith named it, and he said, well, we have a ball and we have a basket. Let's just call it basketball. Easy enough, right? And there's James Naismith with his soccer ball and his peach basket there on Springfield College's campus. And this is the building. This is Jude Hall. This is the actual building where the game of basketball was invented. And it's on Springfield College campus up there in Massachusetts. It's a museum now. See, Judge, your names. It's a museum now, so you can go in there and you can look around and get the historical perspective of the game of basketball. And this is one of the pictures, all right, from the gym back in the day. And the reason the basketball hoop is hung at 10 feet is because if you look back at the balcony where people are standing above, well, that's where they hung the first peach baskets, and they happen to be 10 feet. That's the only reason why the basketball hoop to this day is still at 10 feet, because the balcony at Judd Hall on Springfield College campuses was 10 feet. And the only reason why, nothing mathematical, nothing for sports reasons. No, that's just where the balcony was. Originally, there were some interesting rules regarding the game. There was no hole caught in the bottom of the peach basket. So somebody had to sit up on that balcony, reach in, grab the ball, and throw it back down. That later changed because that just didn't make any sense. But originally, there was no dribbling of the ball. So no dribbling of the ball. So think about that today. It was always pass, shoot, pass, shoot, that kind of thing. So those rule has changed, and these are some of the original athletes who participated in this game of basketball. And this guy here, he was up there. That's Jude Hall in the background. That's Naismith with his peach basket. That's me looking a little heavy sitting there. I think it's because the picture's stretched out. I'm not really that heavy. All right. When Naismith created this game, he came up with 13 rules. And I don't want you memorizing the rules because it's not important right now. But just know that there was 13 rules to set this game in motion. All right, the ball must be held in or between the hands. The arms or body must not be used for holding it. Stuff like that. All right, you don't have to memorize these. If you want to take a look at them, please take a look at them. No pushing, no tripping, no striking opponent. All right, a foul is striking the ball with a fist. Violation is rule 3 and 4. Blah blah blah. So just understand the fact that there was 13 rules to create this modern game of basketball. All right. They're not important for us, but just if you feel like reading them, read them. The original rules, those were the original rules of basketball. But there's also, Naismith is credited with coming up with this game, creating this game of basketball. But there is some historical context, and we need to put this in. Because the Mayans and the Aztecs played a similar game, right? Over 2,000 years ago, various cultures in North America and Central America, Central and South America, they played a game similar. Did Naismith create this game out of thin air, or did he create it by, going back in history and seeing, oh yeah, this game I can incorporate into modern times and keep the athletes fit during the winter months. Right. The only difference though was 2,000 years ago when the Mayans and the Aztecs played a game. The losing team captain was sacrificed. So. It's a little harsh, right? But think about that. That's there's a little bit of pressure on you to win. The losing team's captain was sacrificed. All right, so we have this game of basketball. Again, it started off as intramural, right? It was an intramural game played on college campuses between different teams on campus, between the different dorms, different frats, whatever it was. Right? It was purely intramural, but it quickly became an intercollegiate game. The first intercollegiate basketball game was between the University of Minnesota and Hamline College. All right, that was on February 9th, 1895. All right, so this game took off relatively quickly, within a few years. University of Minnesota won, whopping 9-3. Again, Harvard cheated. The first 5-on-5 game, it was 1897, sorry about that. University of Chicago beat Iowa. Again, Harvard cheated. The original women's game, right? Because not only did this game take off on college campuses for men, it also took off for women. All right, and when the women's game started, like the men, it was 9-on-9, 9 on each team. But the women's game was broken down into 3 sections. So if you look at a basketball court and you divide it in 3 women were in one section, 3 men were in the middle section, and 3 were in the right-hand section. And since you're going to dribble, basically it was just pass to those various sections, and then the person closest to the basket would shoot. And that kind of was the game. Like I said, the game grew. It grew rapidly. It grew rapidly on college campuses. It grew rapidly for women. It grew rapidly for men. Right? All right. So, but why? Why did it grow so rapidly? Well, because it was an easy game, right? All you need, a very inexpensive game to play. You can play it on small city lots. All you need is a ball and a hoop. That's it. And ethnic groups kind of in the city of New York kind of took this game as their own, right? And they created different leagues and they created different playing opportunities to keep the kids out of trouble. Jewish Americans actually adopted the game very early and pretty much dominated on the New York City streets for the longest time. But there's another factor. It was adopted by the YMCA. See, Springfield College was known at one time as the school YMCA College, for lack of a better way of putting it. And they have this loose bond between the YMCA and Springfield College. So when the game was invented on Springfield College's campus, well, it was adopted by the YMCA. And the YMCA is worldwide now. And so it brought this game to other parts of the country and other countries. Okay? The first NCAA men's basketball tournament, right? So this game grows on college campuses. It gets adopted. It gets codified. There's certain rules put in place. We're down to 5 versus 5. Then if somebody came up, well, let's make a tournament out of this. If this is so popular, let's make an NCAA men's basketball tournament. The first NCAA men's basketball tournament was in 1939. 8 teams competed. It was single elimination. The championship game was held between Oregon versus Ohio State. Oregon won 46-33. Again, Harvard cheated. All right, so this basketball tournament, this March Madness, has been around for 82 years, right? 82 years now, right? 8 teams started off as an 18 single elimination game. Oregon versus Ohio State. Not a lot of money involved. In all actuality, they lost money on the first tournament, but they saw an opportunity there. All right, the first NCAA women's tournament was in 1972. All right, but it wasn't called the NCAA women's tournament. It was the AIAW women's tournament, and that was in 1972. Immaculata versus Westchester State. Immaculata won 52-48. The first NCAA women's tournament, though, was in 1982, 10 years later. So, as you see, the men's game, the NCAA adopted the men's game back in 1939 and created a tournament. The women's game had its first tournament in 1972, and think about why. Right, well, that's because of Title IX. Right, Title IX appeared, and we need to have equal opportunities for both men and women in sport. So, a women's basketball tournament was created. The NCAA, of course, being behind the times as usual, 10 years later created the first NCAA women's tournament. And that was Louisiana Tech versus Cheyenne State, 76-62. Again, Harvard cheated. All right. So if I ask you on the quiz, when was the first women's basketball tournament? That's 1972. If I ask you when the first NCAA women's basketball tournament, that's 1982. All right. The men's tournament grew 1913. Now there's 68 teams involved, and it's worth billions and billions of dollars. Right? CBS and Turner paid for the NCAA broadcasting rights, and it's worth approximately $11 billion over the course of time. Right? It's a big moneymaker, huge moneymaker, which has led to a lot of these changes in what's happening in the NCAA now. Pay for play, the NIL. The rights for athletes to be compensated, right? So a lot of these things come from the fact that the NCAA is making so much money off the broadcasting rights to the men's basketball tournament. And interestingly enough, what Naismith had to say about the commercialization of basketball. When men commence to make money out of sport, it degenerates the game. Yeah. Interesting. The gentleman who created it has his own opinion on this commercialization that is going on, especially in this game of basketball. All right. Any questions, comments, criticisms? You guys know how to get in touch with me. We'll pick it up here tomorrow. Thank you.